Rubank Elementary for Clarinet Lesson 6. In today's lesson, we introduce a new note, a low E, and we introduce an eighth note, or a quaver. Now, an eighth note is half the value of a quarter note or a crotchet. In other words, that every time we have a crotchet, we need to have two quavers. So our quavers are essentially twice as fast as our crotchets or our quarter notes. So in our first exercise, you will notice that it's written ta, ti, ti, ta, ta. That is the first bar. Above that is written all four crotchets or all four quarter notes. And you'll notice that the second one has a line through it with two dots on top. So that's just another way of notating our eighth notes or our quavers, but you probably won't see that very often in music. So let's give exercise 1 a go. 1, 2, 3. And now for exercise 2, continuing on with our 8 notes. 1, 2, 3. Now, in respect to breathing, make sure that you're trying to get to the end of every second bar before you take a breath. Alternatively, aim for every 4 bars, which is what I'm currently doing. So make sure you're breathing every 2 to 4 bars. Why 2 to 4 bars? Because at the end of each 4 bars is generally a phrase or a musical sentence. So when we speak, we pause when we get to the end of a sentence or a comma. So music is exactly the same. Think about if you were singing. You would sing a phrase or a sentence and then you would pause and take a breath. So we don't want to be taking a breath randomly. We want to make sure that it's actually planned. So at the very end of every 2 to 4 bars. Exercise 3. 1, 2, 3. And now for exercise 4. 1, 2, 3. Now, to make it smooth like I did in exercise 4, we need to make sure that we are tonguing correctly. When we're tonguing, we need to make sure that we're sustaining the airflow, and the only thing that's disrupting the air is our tongue on the reed. We do not want to be going ha, ha, ha with our diaphragm and starting and stopping the air for every single note. Because when we do that, it starts to sound very percussive and very choppy. So make sure that you've got a long sustained note and the only thing that's disrupting the air is your tongue. The next challenge is to then get our fingers and our tongue in time with each other. This can be quite challenging because it won't quite move where you want it to move. So keep at it, slow it down, and then slowly speed it up. Now I'm going to play exercise 4 once more, but I'm going to slow it down. So if the last one was a little bit difficult and you couldn't quite keep up, try and play along with this one. Alternatively, on YouTube, you can actually change the speed of YouTube clips. You just need to go down to the bottom right-hand corner, click on the cog, and choose playback speed and turn it to 0.75 as opposed to normal. If you're on a mobile phone or a tablet, it may be in the top right-hand side as opposed to the bottom right-hand. Okay, let's try exercise 4 once more, a little bit slower. 1, 2, 3. now for exercise 5, where we introduce our new note, E. Now E sits 3 ledger lines below the staff, so it is quite low, and it is the lowest note that we can play on this B-flat clarinet. Now to play this note, we need to make sure that we've got all 6 fingers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then we also need to add a pinky. So if we're using our left hand pinky, we want to use the key that's on the inside. We can also play this note with our pinky in the right hand, but we want to make sure it's the lowest one on the bottom. So you can use either of those keys and it will create the same note. So to give you an example, this is my left hand pinky. And now for my right hand pinky. So you can use either of those, whichever one is comfortable. Now, why do we have 2 fingerings for the same note? Well, frankly, sometimes we need to move through our notes and we might already have our finger on a left-hand pinky, in which case it's really awkward to have to lift it up and move it to be able to get that low note. And same goes for our right pinky. So often you'll find that a lot of the notes in our pinkies will actually have 2 versions. So 2 versions of exactly the same note. And you need to choose which one is most suitable based on the notes that are around that note. And now for exercise 5. Now you might ask, which fingering should I be using for that low E? Do I use my left or do I use my right? Well, if you look at the music, you'll notice that we have a low F just before it. Now, if you recall low F, we need to use our right hand and we use the bottom pinky on the top. Now, if that's the pinky that I'm already using and that's the fingering that I'm using, then it's going to be easiest if I used my left hand pinky to get that low E. So I'm going to be going from my right hand F to my left hand E. Let's give it a go. Exercise 5. 1, 2, 3. Now, by using that alternate fingering, you will notice that to get the low E, all I have to do is add my pinky. I don't actually have to take off my other pinky on my right hand. I can just add the left. Exercise 6. 1, 2, 3. Exercise 7. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exercise 8. 1, 2, 3. And lucky last, exercise 9. 1, 2, 3.